All right, what's going on, y'all? So today I'm going to give you my biggest piece of advice if you're thinking about starting steroids or you already currently are using steroids. So I obviously don't suggest going that route. These do come with health risks, but for me personally, it was my goal to become an IFBB pro bodybuilder. And for many of you out there, depending on your physique goals, your competition goals, all of that, regardless of what anybody tells you, you're going to go ahead and decide to use these. So this is the advice that I wish I had followed from the very beginning. These are 7 points that I fully do believe in that you should have nailed down if you are currently using steroids or you're thinking about doing that. This will give you, one, a longer career in whatever sport you're in using PEDs, but then B, this is going to be allow you to have safer use of these. Because like I said, these do come with risks and they can have negative health outcomes if you don't do some things right. So these are going to be my 7 biggest pieces of advice if you are currently using steroids or you're thinking about getting on. All right, so for the first point, I'm not going to go ahead and tell you need to wait till you max out your genetic limit, you get all the muscle you can get on your frame naturally before you start. That would be in the most optimal world, but for many of you out there that are wanting to get your pro card, or you're doing strongman or powerlifting, or you just have some physique goals, you're not going to go ahead and wait the many years it takes to build your genetic limit. But my biggest piece of advice in the very beginning is before you do decide to start steroids, that you have your diet and your training nailed down. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see with so many people is they jump straight to PEDs. They jump either straight to SARMs, they jump straight to steroids, and they don't even have their diet even halfway figured out, and they don't even have their training halfway figured out. This is where go ahead and completely maximize the diet and the training first. I'm not saying you have to build all of your genetic potential up first, but go ahead and really have your training nailed down and your diet nailed down. This means that you're progressing in the gym, you're tracking that, you're logging it in a logbook. You've been doing that consistently for a long period of time. You've preferably you've tried a few different training methods. That could be high volume, high intensity. You know what works for your body, what you enjoy on the training side. And then on the diet side, you have the diet nailed down. Because here's the thing, guys. If you go ahead and you jump on PEDs and you don't have your diet figured out, a lot of times you'll just end up getting really fat, holding a lot more water than you would if you have the diet cleaned up, and that's going to come with negative side effects when you go ahead and you throw the steroids on. 2, you're not going to get near as much out of the steroids if you had the diet and the training nailed down. Many of you out there probably think that you have diet and training nailed down when you really don't. This is where go ahead and be a student of the sport that you're in and really study the diet and the training before you go ahead and you put the icing on the cake, which is PEDs. All right, so my second biggest piece of advice is to go ahead and start slow. So many times I see people starting with 2 or 3 compounds when frankly, I personally believe that a perfect beginner cycle is literally just testosterone. So 1, you're gonna go ahead and be able to get a lot out of a low. Your first cycle is the best cycle. I'm sure you've heard it if you're looking into this video and this topic. Your first cycle really is your best cycle. And you can get a ton out of not very much at all. And so that's why you'd want to go ahead and start slow, taper up the dose, all of that. You're going to be able to get a lot more runway out of that cycle. But then B, you're going to know both the positive and the negative effects of that one compound. If you're going ahead and you're doing your first cycle with, an injectable like testosterone plus an oral, all that, you're not going to know what's giving you negative or positive results. And you do want to know that. So you want to go ahead and start simple, start slow, kind of build into it. Plus, you don't want to go ahead and start with a huge mega dose of something or multiple compounds before you maximize the least amount of possible. All right, point number 3 is to go ahead and educate yourself. So just like educating yourself with the diet and the nutrition, or the diet and the training, I see so many people essentially just taking the advice of the big guy in the gym, and they're jumping on way too much. They have no clue what they're taking, what it does, all of that. They're just going ahead and taking the advice of someone in their gym. You need to educate yourself on what you're putting in your body. This doesn't just go for PEDs. This should frankly be for everything that you're putting in your body, from the food you're eating to the vitamins, the supplements, to the PEDs. But you need to know what you're putting in your body, what it does to the body, the positive effects, what it was designed to do, plus the side effects and negative side effects that can come from that. If you educate yourself, you're going to be setting yourself up, A, for success, to get a lot out of that compound, but then B, you're gonna essentially be able to mitigate a lot of negative side effects and negative health side effects that come along with some of these compounds. Along with educating yourself, I'm not telling you to go ahead and do this, but look into microdosing. This is something that's worked really, really well for me and many people I know, rather than just doing the typical TRT dosing schedule. You might want to go ahead and dose a little bit more with smaller amounts. And with this, you can go ahead and get more out of less, which is better for health outcomes. And then B, you're able to get more results out of less amount. So go ahead and educate yourself on the substances, what you're putting in your body, and then B, the different ways to go ahead and actually do this to where you can do it in the most efficient way possible, not only for safety, but also for the performance as well. All right, so my fourth biggest piece of advice, this is arguably one of the biggest ones: get your blood work done. So this is something that you should be doing from the very beginning. Frankly, before you even get on, you need to go ahead and see where your levels are at. That way you can go ahead and when you start taking substances, how it affects your blood work, all of that. Plus, you need to see if your health is going in a negative direction when you take this. So, there's negative health side effects that, can affect your organs, your heart, your hair. So this is where you need to go ahead and really be tracking your health. And the best way to do that is with blood work. Preferably, you're going to have a doctor overseeing what you're doing, but I know many of you out there aren't going to. So at a bare minimum, I suggest getting your blood work done. I personally get mine done every 3 to 4 months, and I do have a doctor overlooking me. But if you're not going to go do that, I would recommend at the bare minimum getting your blood work done every 6 months. And if you don't know how to interpret your own blood work, A, educate yourself and learn. But then B, this is where you should seek out professional help to have someone interpret your blood work, see if you're good to go, and where to go from there. All right, so point number 5 goes along with point number 4, but regularly track your health markers. So twice per week, I check my blood pressure, I check my resting heart rate, and I check my fasted blood glucose. Especially your blood pressure and your resting heart rate for most compounds, this is something that you should be checking week to week. Your blood pressure is arguably the most important health marker that you can be checking. You can go ahead and pick up a blood pressure cuff off of Amazon. I picked this one up off of Amazon a couple of years ago, but you can go ahead and just check it there at home. But one of the reasons why so many people, so many bodybuilders recently have been passing away or having health complications, all of that, they're having kidney issues, and a lot of those kidney and heart issues come from chronic high blood pressure. A lot of people just don't take care of checking their blood pressure, and so that's where I recommend checking all three, checking your fasted blood glucose, your resting heart rate, but at a bare minimum, every week you should be checking your blood pressure if you are currently taking steroids. All right, so my 6th piece of advice goes along with point number 5 of tracking your health markers, and that's go ahead and invest in health supplementation. So many people just go ahead and pick up their steroids, they've got their protein powder and their couple other supplements, but they're not taking any organ protectors, anything like that. If you're doing this and you want to have a long career in, say, bodybuilding, if this is your sport, or frankly just being able to use PEDs for a longer period of time safely, you should be investing in health supplementation. So I personally go ahead and pick up a lot of mine from a company called ReviveMD, but you can take kidney, you can go ahead and get liver support, you can take blood pressure. Blood pressure, this is a big one that I would do. I've seen this knock down my blood pressure over 10 points, both systolic and diastolic. You'd want to go ahead and get some lipid support for your cholesterol. But by doing this is going to really help your blood markers. I've seen when I take this stuff, it really does help my blood work look so much better, even while I'm currently running a cycle. So this isn't just what you would take, in post-cycle therapy, trying to heal yourself after cycle. Take these during a cycle to protect yourself. Another one to pick up is the heart support. And then there's many other vitamins that you can take that's also going to help protect you and allow you to use PEDs in a safer way. All right, so my 7th biggest piece of advice is to limit oral steroid use. So This is something I see beginners jump straight to. I think it has to do with a fear of needles or something, but it seems like most people are jumping straight to an oral steroid rather than just choosing something like testosterone. I personally recommend staying away from oral steroids unless you are in a contest prep. Oral steroids are the most liver toxic, and these will do the most damage to your blood work, especially your liver, and a lot of times your lipid values on your blood work than a lot of the other ones out there. Obviously, there's pretty harsh injectables as well, like Trenbolone, but oral steroids are quite taxing on the body. And frankly, in my opinion, they don't give the results that a lot of the injectables, if used right and done safely and dosed the right amount, all of that, that injectable steroids can do. So this is where I highly recommend limiting oral steroids to a pre-contest setting. I very rarely recommend doing it in an off-season or bulking setting. I personally don't use them when bulking myself. And I've had many successful, really big bulks not touching an oral steroid. So this is where I'd suggest limit your oral steroid use, protect your liver, and that goes along too with taking that health supplementation, all of that. And then when you do go into a pre-contest setting, that's where you do want to really stay on top of your blood work and choose the right compounds, all of that. But oral steroids can help give a harder, more refined look. So there is a time and place to employ them, but I personally don't believe the off-season setting is a time for that. All right, so a bonus piece of advice I have for you is don't always blast. This is something I'm seeing a lot of people do now is they're running mega doses, and they're essentially cycling pretty much year round. They're not taking any time off. You want to take time off to clear out, let your body have a break, let your blood work get back to good. You want to get it back to where it's essentially perfect, to where then you can go ahead and decide if you want to cycle back on or all that. But blasting, these mega doses for year round, or even not even mega doses, but just blasting year round, this is going to be extremely taxing to the body, and it's not going to give yourself a break, and it is going to wear out your organs a lot quicker. So that's where you want to absolutely take time off from running steroids. This is where some people say you should limit yourself to 16-week cycles. I personally believe that it's blood work dependent and then compound dependent. But you should be on top of all of this and absolutely setting time and place to go ahead and take time off. All right, so like I said, these do come with health risks. These can have negative consequences when done in an unsafe way. And these aren't safe. Steroids themselves aren't safe. They can have positive benefits to your health for sure if done right. Especially if you need something like TRT, all that. I've done videos on my experience with getting on TRT and my health before it, and then how it improved my health. But for the most part, steroids and PEDs are going to have negative outcomes to your health. So this is where you want to educate yourself, follow these points, and if you do that, it should give you a longer runway in this sport, to where you can do this in a little bit of a safer method. And that's my whole point of putting out these videos on TRT, PED, steroids, all of it is, I know, if you're already thinking about going this route or you're already on, you're going to use it. Nobody's going to be able to tell you to stop. So, I hope to at least help you have safer use to, essentially protect your health a little bit better and frankly get more out of it, because I think a lot of people are just running stuff without knowing what they're doing, how to do it, and there's better ways out there than just what your gym bro is telling you. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. Like I said, if you're thinking about getting on or you're already on, I implore you to really lock down the basics first and then educate yourself. Don't just go ahead, get a cycle from someone and just take it. You want to really educate yourself on what these things do, how it affects the body, all of that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, definitely leave them down below. I love going ahead and hearing any video ideas you guys have for me. But be happy, be positive, be powerful, and have a great rest of your day.